Lost in all the Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher beef from yesterday, Jordan Addison announced that he was going to be transferring to USC. Plus the latest updates on Nick Saban, Deion Sanders, and Jimbo Fisher, plus Lane Kiffin having a field day on Twitter. All that and more on today's episode of 4th and 10. 4 college football stories in just around 10 minutes. Now, let's go for it. Before we get to today's video, make sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you love college football, then this is definitely the place for you. Also, if you could drop a like on this video, I would greatly appreciate it as well. It helps with the algorithm of the video and helps share it with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. So we're going to start off this video with probably what should have been the biggest story in all of college football yesterday, but instead, it was buried beneath a story about 2 coaches having beef with one another. And that story is former Pittsburgh wide receiver and 2021 Biletnikoff Award winner Jordan Addison announcing that he was transferring to USC. He took to Twitter to share the news. The last few weeks have been very difficult. I struggled with my decision as to whether I should exercise my right to enter the portal. Student athletes have not always had that opportunity, and I made that choice. I am and will always be grateful to the University of Pittsburgh, to Coach Narduzzi, all my coaches, past and present, the faculty, the fans, supporters, but especially to all my teammates. I love them. Winning an ACC championship is ours forever. Those true friendships will last. A part of me will always be H2P. I have now carefully considered the advice of my family and close friends and fully weighed both the risks and benefits associated with my decision. I also respect that others may make a different choice, but for me, I will continue my full development as a student athlete by enrolling at USC. Now, I've talked about Jordan Addison in a couple videos over the last few weeks ever since he decided to put his name into the transfer portal. So if you guys have watched those videos, you already know my thoughts on this entire situation. But in case you're new to the channel and you haven't heard my thoughts, let me just give a brief recap on how I feel about this entire situation. I have no problem with Jordan Addison entering the transfer portal and going to a different program. Nowadays in college football, that's just going to be the norm, and top players all across the board are going to want to be transferring schools. Now, I get that in the old days, players would enter the transfer portal because they wanted a better playing opportunity or it would better their chances of reaching the NFL. Now, in regards to Jordan Addison, he's likely going to be a first-round draft pick in next year's NFL draft, so this isn't to better his chances of reaching the NFL. He's going to USC to make more money, plain and simple, and that's entirely okay. I totally get these players wanting to make more money. I mean, if I was a college athlete and a team was offering me, let's say, $3 million, whereas my current school was going to be offering me only $1 million, yeah, I would take the $3 million in a heartbeat. So I totally understand why Jordan Addison left Pittsburgh in order to get a big payday. But I still personally have a problem with the way this entire thing played out. A couple weeks ago, before Jordan Addison's name was even in the transfer portal, it was announced that he'd be transferring to USC. So when a guy hasn't officially put his name in the transfer portal yet, how is there already a decision that's been made? I know there likely isn't going to be anything handed down to USC in regards to tampering, but you got to admit, there was something shady going on here, and ultimately, USC benefited from it. Someone at USC, whether it was a booster, a player, or a coach, reached out to Jordan Addison, informed him of all the money he could potentially make at USC, which led to him entering the transfer portal. Because the timing of this entire situation surely was a little interesting, considering he entered the portal just days before it closed. Back in January, Jordan Addison said he wasn't going to be leaving Pittsburgh, and that's where he'd be finishing his college football career. Now, had he entered the portal in January or February, I would kind of understand it a little more. But again, all of a sudden, just days before the portal closes, he's going to be transferring to USC, again, before he's officially even in the transfer portal. That's where I think the problem lies. If players want to enter the transfer portal, they have every right to do so, but if you have programs hitting them up and letting them know, hey, you can make millions and millions more at this program before they're even in the transfer portal, I think that's a major red flag, and I think that's something college football really needs to address soon. Also, I just wanted to give my 2 cents on his Twitter post. It's just really the first few sentences that I thought were a load of BS. The last few weeks have been very difficult. I struggled with my decision as to whether I should exercise my right to enter the portal. Yeah, Jordan Addison, I'm sure you're a great guy. Again, props to you for getting the huge payday, but these last few weeks have not been difficult whatsoever. You knew that you were going to be going to USC. The reports already came out that you were going to be going to USC before you were even in the transfer portal. I believe the only school he took a visit to was Texas, and let's be real, he never stood any chance of going to Texas. The Longhorns never had a chance of landing him. He just took an official visit to Texas to make it seem like he was truly weighing his options. Now, maybe Jordan Addison was actually considering Texas, but I really believe the only way he actually would have gone to Texas over USC is if the Longhorns would have opened up their checkbooks and offered more money than USC was offering. Like I mentioned earlier, this is one of the 2 or 3 best wide receivers in all of college football, and he's essentially a lock to be a first-round pick, barring a major injury. So he's not choosing between Texas or USC because it's going to give him a better chance of reaching the NFL. Again, he's choosing the programs based on who's going to offer him the most money. And like I've said numerous times, and I'm going to have to say again, because I know there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be butthurt in the comments section, I totally understand him going to a program based on who's going to be paying the most. Like I said, if I were in his situation and USC was offering me $3 million and Texas was only going to be offering me $1.5 million, you better believe I'm going to be going to USC. I totally understand wanting to chase the bag, and you can't fault the guy for it. But I think we all can agree the first few sentences of this post were just BS. Jordan Addison was never going to return to Pittsburgh because, let's be real, after this entire situation, I think it would leave a salty taste in players and coaches' mouths if he were to return. So him saying he struggled with that decision, yeah, I just don't buy it. The only way the last few weeks would have been difficult is if USC and Texas were offering the same amount. Then you had to decide what you thought the best opportunity would be for the upcoming season. Again, at the end of the day, that's just the era of college football we're a part of right now, and there's nothing we can do to change it. Congratulations to Jordan Addison for getting the bag and going to USC, but like I said, I think the way this entire situation was handled, I do think there was some tampering going on. I do think it played a role in him entering the transfer portal. And I also think at the end of the day, this decision was solely based on who's going to offer the most money. Again, we've seen NIL affect college football recruiting, and now we're seeing it affect the transfer portal, and things are only going to get worse moving forward. Alright, so enough of Jordan Addison and that entire situation. That's finally in the past, and we don't have to worry about players entering the transfer portal illegally until next offseason. So let's get back to the whole Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher saga. I talked about it yesterday. It was the press conference heard around the world, but yeah, Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher, they were beefing. Jimbo Fisher was pissed, and Nick Saban later in the day responded to all the things that Jimbo Fisher had to say. Here's a snippet of Nick Saban's radio interview from yesterday of him apologizing and him trying to talk about what exactly he meant when he said everything a couple days ago.
I reached out to him, never got a response, but feel bad about it. But I'm not changing my philosophy on, I look at the betterment of college football. What is good for the game? And sometimes those things are not what's best for Alabama, but I've been doing this for a long time, and my whole focus has always been, how can we help players be successful? And I don't want to take anything away from them, and I don't want to take any opportunities away from them. I just think systematically this is, all the guys that are transferring, and it's a crazy world out there right now, and hopefully, we can all get our heads together and make it so people can get back to focusing on what they need to do to develop while they're in college, get an education, and become better people, become better players, have a chance to play at the next level, which is what we've always tried to create.
So yeah, whether you're on team Nick Saban or if you're on team Jimbo Fisher, both coaches had good points and they had bad points. You can make the case that both coaches were right and that both coaches were wrong. In addition to the whole Jimbo Fisher saga, Nick Saban also called out Jackson State head coach Deion Sanders in regards to how they used NIL to land the #1 recruit in the country. We talked about it in yesterday's video, but Deion Sanders had a few things to say on Twitter. Well, yesterday he did a podcast interview and he was asked about the entire situation, and here's what he had to say about that.
Nick Saban came out, had some choice words saying that the Jackson State program paid $1 million to get a recruit there, talking about Travis Hunter. What is your response to that?
Well, first of all, we don't have $1 million. If you've been to Jackson State and you understand how the program works, you understand there's a deficit not only in our program, but every program. And we're trying to close that deficit right now. We're doing a darn good job of it. Last year, we raised $30 million for the city of Jackson alone. That's what they told us. So I'm pretty sure we're probably about 40 because they ain't tell us about 10 million of it. So we're doing a great job in what we're accomplishing in Jackson State. And we're changing the whole paradigm of HBCU football. And we're trying to be the catalyst and the model for all HBCUs on how to do business on the field, off the field, in the boardrooms, as well as all facets, even attracting these Fortune 500 companies to come into the realm and help us tremendously. But $1 million, that's I would never do that if we even had it, because that would destroy the fabric of our team. That would destroy all of my thought process and how I teach work, reward. I teach work. You paying kids millions of dollars in college, how are they still hungry? I mean, how are they still hungry? How you pay a kid more than you pay coaches in college? So and Coach, now you're risking. I'm sorry. Let me finish the statement. You're risking that line
integrity
of college football. Let me tell you what I mean by that. The media don't attack college players like they attack pro players. They don't do it because you're still an amateur. And they don't say certain things. You never see them blast a college quarterback or someone who, you never see that. When these guys start getting paid and you're making more than the reporters that's reporting and some of your coaches, that opens you up for scrutiny, man. These kids ain't built like that. They're not ready for that mentally and emotionally and psychologically. They ain't ready for that, man. And we're opening the can that they're not ready to minister to.
I really don't think Deion Sanders has much more beef at this point, whereas I think Jimbo Fisher legitimately hates Nick Saban with a passion, so that's going to be an interesting beef between those two coaches moving forward. Alright, we're going to wrap up this video with another SEC coach who was partaking in all the daily drama that took place yesterday. And to no surprise, that SEC coach is Lane Kiffin. He didn't really say much in regards to the whole Jimbo Fisher Nick Saban fiasco, but he took to Twitter and had numerous tweets that are just too good to ignore. His first tweet is a quote tweet of what Nick Saban said the other night in regards to Texas A&M's recruiting class and how they essentially bought every player on their team. Well, Lane Kiffin quote tweeted it with this gif of Peyton Manning doing the little pistol shots fired thing. Up next, we got Lane Kiffin quote tweeting this graphic that was sent to him with the thinking emoji tagging Texas A&M and Alabama and saying the GOAT might ... and the photo that he quote tweeted said in 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, Texas A&M only had 5 5-star recruits. Then NIL was introduced, and in 2022, 7 5-stars in the highest rated class of all time. So Lane Kiffin sees this graphic, and he adds some fuel to the fire there. When it was announced that Jimbo Fisher had a press conference scheduled for the morning, Lane Kiffin said, "Oh boy, Alabama football, get your popcorn ready." Someone then sent a photo of this to Lane Kiffin, and I'll just let everyone get one long glance at this disturbing image that we see here. But yeah, Lane Kiffin, he quote tweeted it with some laughing emojis. Lane Kiffin's next tweet was a quote tweet with a popcorn gif in regards to Texas A&M and Alabama playing each other on October 8th. Up next, Lane Kiffin quote tweeted a bit from Jimbo Fisher's press conference with a gif of Arnold Schwarzenegger getting ready to go to war saying, "Did this really just happen? First time I can remember being speechless. SEC meetings in Destin," which, by the way, those SEC meetings are a little over a week away. So yeah, to no surprise, Lane Kiffin was having an absolute blast on Twitter while this was all going down. So yeah, when all these coaches meet in Florida in a little over a week, I wouldn't be shocked if Lane Kiffin has a few extra things that he'd like to say in regards to this entire situation. So what are your thoughts on all the topics I discussed today? What are your thoughts on Jordan Addison ending up at USC, a place that we all assumed he'd end up when he was linked there before he even entered the transfer portal? Plus, what are your thoughts on this entire Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher, and Deion Sanders fiasco? Which side are you on, and what do you think this means for college football moving forward? Whatever your thoughts are on all the topics, let me know in the comment section down below. If you guys haven't done so yet, now is still the perfect time to smash that subscribe button and join the community here on YouTube. If you love college football, this is definitely the place for you. Oh, and make sure to drop a like on this video as well. It helps with that YouTube algorithm, and it helps share the video with more college football fans. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.